It is impossible to think of a more legendary figure in the history of art than Leonardo da Vinci. The man whose name became synonymous with genius was not just an incredibly gifted artist, but also a brilliant engineer, scientist, and inventor. However, throughout his life, he had many rivals and haters who tried their best to bring him down. So, what was really the life story of this amazing man? Welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to talk about the biography of one of the most talented people in the world, Leonardo da Vinci. So, let's get started. Leonardo da Vinci was born on April 15, 1452, in the village of Anciano, near Florence. It is believed that he was born prematurely, which in turn led to health problems throughout his life. In addition, according to some sources, he was an illegitimate child. His father, Piero, was a Florentine notary, and his mother, Caterina, was a peasant. After the birth of Leonardo, his parents never lived together again. When the boy was only 15 days old, he was taken by his father to live in a monastery, where his older brother and two sisters also lived. This happened because at that time it was believed that a baby needed constant female attention, and his mother could not devote herself to it. Growing up, Leonardo showed himself to be an inquisitive boy who loved animals very much. According to legend, when he was still quite young, he saw a dead bird and was so upset that he cried for a long time. Later, this love for animals grew into a real passion, and by the age of 30, Leonardo had already bought several dozen tame animals, including cats, dogs, rabbits, and even turtles, which he kept in spacious cages in his house. As a boy, Leonardo received a good education, taught himself to read and write. But what is most important for our future brilliant artist, he learned to draw. When Leonardo was 15 years old, his father married again and sent the boy to work in a workshop as an apprentice. Soon, the young man's talent attracted the attention of the famous Florentine sculptor and painter Andrea del Verrocchio. He invited Leonardo to work in his workshop. For several years, the young man worked as a painter, sculptor, engineer, and architect. At that time, he created one of his most famous works, an amazing sculpture of David. Unfortunately, the statue did not survive to this day. We can only admire its copy located in Piazza della Signoria in Florence. Another outstanding work of the young master was an altarpiece called Adoration of the Magi, which is now kept in the Uffizi Gallery. Despite all his achievements, Leonardo da Vinci was never satisfied with the results of his work. He constantly invented new technologies and techniques and strove for perfection. He paid great attention to details and realism, and he was the first to use aerial perspective in painting, which consists in the fact that objects that are further away from the viewer are painted in lighter tones, making them more airy. Of course, there were quite a few people who appreciated the innovative approach of the artist, and therefore, critics often accused Leonardo da Vinci of deliberately distorting reality. In 1482, Leonardo moved to the Italian city of Milan, where he spent 17 years working under the Ludovic Sforza family. Most likely, the main reason why the artist decided to move was that in Florence, his paintings were accused of heresy and irreality. In Milan, things were different. There was no such strict attitude towards art. On the contrary, the local ruler was known for his patronage of scientists and artists. And this is exactly what Leonardo needed. In Milan, the artist created a huge number of paintings, including the famous Last Supper and several versions of the Mona Lisa. He also engaged in engineering. Ludovico Sforza commissioned him to create a bronze horse. Leonardo worked on this project for 16 years. Unfortunately, the horse was never finished, but sketches and drawings of this work have survived to this day. They are kept in the Royal Collection of Great Britain. In addition to his work as a painter and sculptor, Leonardo da Vinci also served as a military engineer, designing and building fortifications for the Duchy of Milan. He developed various weapons, including armored vehicles which looked like modern tanks. He made detailed drawings of flying machines, which were unfortunately never brought to life during his lifetime. The scientist believed that the art of war should serve as a last resort. Therefore, he was a pacifist. In 1499, France invaded Milan, and Leonardo da Vinci found himself in a very difficult position. Initially, he sided with the French, but then they betrayed him. To save the scientist from disgrace, the Duchess of Milan, Isabella d'Este, invited him to her palace. Later, Leonardo da Vinci said of her, "She has the greatest intelligence of all the women I have ever seen." In 1503, Leonardo da Vinci was summoned to Rome by Pope Julius II. The pontiff wanted the artist to paint the vault of the Sistine Chapel, but he refused, fearing that the frescoes would turn out to be too bright and juicy. Instead, Leonardo offered to paint the walls of a newly built church. The Pope agreed, but after 3 years, the artist had still not completed any of the paintings. That's because he was tinkering with his latest invention, a flying machine. Working on these designs took so much time and effort that he completely forgot about painting. In the end, Pope Julius II ordered Michelangelo to complete the decoration of the Sistine Chapel, and the dissatisfied artist left Rome. The next stop in Leonardo da Vinci's life was Venice. At that time, the Republic was at war with the French, and the artist was asked to come up with a plan to defend the city. Leonardo suggested building a dam in the Venetian lagoon. Then he went to France, where he ended up in the service of King Francis I. The king gave him a castle in the town of Clos-Lucé near Amboise as a residence. Here, the scientist continued to make various inventions, create sculptures, and paint. One of his last major works was the painting of John the Baptist. Throughout his life, Leonardo da Vinci experienced bouts of depression and periods of total immersion in work. Moreover, he suffered from neurasthenia and was considered a very nervous person. Perhaps that's why he could not finish many of his projects, although he left many of them on the verge of completion. For example, Leonardo da Vinci began painting the Mona Lisa in 1503 and completed it around 1519. Scientists suggest that over the 16 years, the artist worked on 4 versions of the painting, but the draftsman himself claimed that he worked on the canvas for 4 years. Some researchers believe that Leonardo da Vinci was trying to portray himself in this particular picture. Indeed, judging by the image, the Mona Lisa looks directly at the viewer and does not look away as other portraits do. In addition, it is known that the artist had a special relationship with one of his students, Francesco Melzi, who became his official heir. Leonardo da Vinci was very secretive about his personal life and never revealed his sexual preferences. However, some researchers claim that the artist was bisexual. He had a big farm near Amboise where he grew vegetables and fruits. He kept records of all the plants and their growth rates. Leonardo da Vinci was one of the first people who understood that the sun is the center of the solar system and the earth revolves around it. He studied nature and made detailed drawings of plants and animals. These manuscripts are kept today in the British Museum. Also, Leonardo da Vinci was one of the first people who invented a parachute. He designed a wingsuit and a helicopter. He was also interested in astronomy and made accurate predictions of solar and lunar eclipses. Leonardo da Vinci died on May 2, 1519, in Clos-Lucé Castle. According to one version, he died of a stroke. According to another, he contracted a blood disease from his lover, a 20-year-old student. The scientist was buried in the castle church, but the grave did not survive to this day. Over the centuries, many legends have appeared about the great Leonardo da Vinci. Some say that he was immortal. Others claim that he left his body in a glass case. None of these theories has been proven. All we know for sure is that Leonardo da Vinci was a genius who left an indelible mark on history. His work influenced generations of scientists and artists, and to this day, he remains one of the most mysterious and controversial figures in world history. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please subscribe and like the video. Also, share your thoughts about Leonardo da Vinci's life and work in the comments below. See you later.